Jordan Hicks, will he just start tomorrow's game if this game today gets canceled? How do they do that? Then you may have a starter coming in behind him that is scheduled to go tomorrow. But Landon Roop was supposed to pitch, so it's not just the starters. It's all the arms you're trying to get lined up. And, this is with Brian Price and Dave Righetti's down there as a consultant. It's all based on a grid. And now that you're under 2 weeks to go in the season, you don't want guys missing days. Now, can they make it up and throw on the side? Sure. So we're not going to overreact to that. But it was fine when you had one rain out last week, John, and that Thursday. But to have another one come right behind on Friday and now have this game possibly get rained out and your pitchers didn't even work at all. Lamont flied out to open the game and Tyro grounded out and Conforto's in the box. So it does kind of mess up the pitching plan. So to your point, it's not a regular season game. You don't have to have the game be played, but you would like it to be played. It is the Asian Giants. Sounds like a big crowd is there. And then you got, the Futures game coming up behind as well, which could be impacted. And I'm watching these games all day today on MLB Network. As John was saying, some of the top prospects in baseball are playing today. So you'd like that game to go off just for the marketing of the game and the future of the game. But they don't want to risk anybody getting hurt. Like Kyle Harrison got a little PO'd that, he had to pitch on the mound when he was losing his footing. So you don't want that to happen. But we'll see. Like to get it in, but if you don't get it in, then you just move on to the next in spring training.
Yeah, and like you said, you don't want guys getting hurt, especially this close. Well, never, but especially this close to the season, you don't want guys getting hurt. So there's that element to the whole thing. And, being in Arizona, and this as well as anybody, these things can move fast, too. I mean, they have these storms, and they just zip right through. And like John and Dave were saying, too, I mean, right down the road, guys are playing. So it's kind of like that, too, as storms move fast. Certain parts of the valley down there, they're playing. Certain parts of the valley, they're not. And I checked this morning, and this wasn't supposed to come until about 4 o'clock Arizona time. So when we signed off, I thought, well, at least when I checked this morning, it was supposed to come later this afternoon, and it was supposed to be just in a kind of an hour window. So I thought they were going to be fine, and I thought this was supposed to come a little bit later. But again, things move quickly in Arizona, so it could be a storm that moves fast. And when we check in with the guys at 1:45, maybe we'll see that the thing has moved fast, but they'll certainly not put anybody at risk and have injuries. So again, if you're just tuning in and expecting to hear the Giants and the A's, they're having some heavy thunderstorms go through the area. And again, I was watching some video from some of the beat writers that were posting it, and it looked pretty ugly. So I don't know that we're going to get Giants baseball in there.
Well,
right
the one
now.
thing is, unlike the Dodger-Giant game of last week, that was a night game.
Yeah, right.
This is a day game, so if you didn't want to get it in, and the A's are of the opinion, and David Forrest, and obviously Bowmel knows them so well. If you wanted to move the game, wait out a multiple hour delay, you can still do that. I don't know what the lights are like at Hohokam Park. John was saying he could hardly notice when they put the lights on, but I'm sure they play night games there. But if you wanted to wait it out, you could just move the game back a few hours. It's also spring training. You don't want guys waiting around forever. But it is the A's and the Giants. They don't play all the time. And it is, Friday is St. Patrick's Day. You have a big crowd. So there's a lot of elements that are going to come into play there. So I'm just glad, John, that I only got a couple of Jamesons in, over at Harrington's. I had the game on, and I'm thinking, lightning bolt?
Yeah,
don't serve me a third one. I may have to go back and rejoin John, which leads to the start of the year. We have a lot of these shows, like the opener in San Diego on March the 28th, before April 1st, is a day game, is a 1:10 day game. Now, you don't think it's going to rain in Southern California, but it does. We've seen a lot of early season games, so we think we have, a partial show or a short show, and then we wound up getting boomeranged, and we come right back on the air. So good thing I just partly got into my St. Patty's Day Friday celebration, John, and I'm still of sound mind and body. But too bad they're not playing in the Bay Area like John and Dave were saying. A glorious day in the Bay Area.
So nice.
So nice. And down there, and I was down there for the first weekend of spring training, and the weather was great. It was so warm. And then last week, when they were on TV, on Dodgers TV, on Sportsnet LA, that game against the Dodgers on Thursday, that was the first bad day we had Joe Rizzo on that day, and he was saying, oh, it's a good thing it's a night game because if he had to play in the day, it probably wouldn't work out. Well, it was a night game, and it didn't work out. They only got 2+ innings in. And then here we are again with the A's and Giants on a Friday of St. Patrick's Day weekend. So even though you think you're going to get part of a day off and, Giants baseball is coming your way, even in California and Arizona in the desert, you don't know. Raiden could hit at any moment.
Well, I got all these cams up because they can now they have these weather cams all over the place, and I'm looking at all these cams all over Scottsdale, and man, it looks like a pretty big storm all over the place. So again, I don't know that we're going to get this thing in. There's a ton of clouds and a ton of rain, it looks like. So again, we'll keep you up to date, and at 1:45 we'll throw it back to Dave and John. Supposed to have the Giants and the A's, but it's looking kind of iffy that we get that whole thing in. So we'll see if we can get some baseball in the meantime. We'll keep you entertained until we check in with those guys at 1:15. If you missed the show a little bit earlier, we kept you up to date on everything that's going on as far as what the 49ers are doing. Lots of stuff that happened yesterday when we got off the air. Lots of stuff. We talked to Matt Mayoko today in terms of what they brought in. And again, comings, goings. If you missed earlier today, one of our favorites, John Feliciano, is coming back. That was good. After we got off the air, Kevin Givens signed. That was good. One of our favorites, Chris Conley, signed. So that was good. So again, filling the big holes so far. Did I miss anything today? Oh, yeah, Devondre Campbell came over. So that was good, filled the hole. So, again, lots of things getting done. Officially yesterday, Eric Armstead. There was some confusion late in the show yesterday. He's going to Jacksonville. You probably heard that yesterday as well. So, getting some holes filled for the 49ers at the very least, get some things done. But those are the things either after the show or things like Campbell got done. So, at the linebacker position, they lost out on Kendricks, but they did fill that with Campbell today. So, that's what's going on with the 49ers.
Yeah, we obviously know Devondre Campbell well, being in the NFC West in Arizona and being a Packer the last 3 years. And we've seen his game, and a couple of years ago, he was first-team All-Pro. He beat out Fred Warner and others to take that title, and he was just a ball hawk, a quintessential sideline-to-sideline scraper in a 4-3 Mike linebacker, and a guy who could drop back into coverage. He was a terrific player, whether it's dropping into his own or man matching a back or a tight end out of the backfield, or he was just terrific. But he wasn't that guy last year. His movement skill really deteriorated. So I think ideally Dre Greenlaw comes back, and he's in the Oren Burks third linebacker role, that Sam linebacker spot, which is on the field about 25% of the time. But he also has the ability, since he's a former middle linebacker, to put on the green dot helmet and get the call from Nick Sorensen, the new defensive coordinator, and call the defense. So I'll be anxious to see just where Devondre is. The big news around the NFL this morning, and it happened just before our show at 10 o'clock this morning, is the great Aaron Donald decided to retire from football at age 32. And this is there's only been two previous three-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year awards, and they haven't been handing out that award for years and years. I think Lawrence Taylor's rookie year was the first time they handed it out, and LT won that year and the Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he won two more. And obviously J.J. Watt won three as well. But Aaron Donald won three, and he had a couple of second-place finishes. So we're talking about the dominant defensive lineman of his generation, and on a short list, along with the great Mean Joe Green or Alan Page, the Purple People Eaters and the Vikings, and those two players anchored two of the greatest defenses of all time, the Steel Curtain and the Minnesota Bud Grant, defense. And Alan Page one year did win the NFL MVP, which doesn't happen very often for a defensive player. And then more modern, obviously, Reggie White was a dominant player. Howie Long inside, and Warren Sapp and John Randall at three technique. But Donald was just different, John. The way he lined up all over the front, whether it was over a center, over a guard, over a tackle at five technique, as a guy who was covered by the end or uncovered, he'd slide over and match up. And I know Kyle Shanahan is having a green beer right now, a Guinness, to celebrate the retirement of Aaron Donald. He kept always saying, I'm waiting for 99 to retire, and he never does. And so that is the Rams made some interesting acquisitions this offseason. But as long as they held on to Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, and Aaron Donald, they had the trio, the foundation of their Super Bowl winning team a couple of years ago. Well, the quarterback's still there, and the great wide receiver is still there, and they've added Puka Nacua as well. But they've lost. Outside of Deacon Jones, I think you would say he's the greatest defensive player in the history of the Rams franchise.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, plus, I didn't even go so far as to say, in my lifetime, as far as just straight out dominant players, like you said, Lawrence Taylor, if you're of a certain age and watched Lawrence Taylor, just in terms of off the top of my head, I'm not even looking at numbers or anything like that. Pure dominance. This morning when I heard that he retired, and then that short break that we had, just because I got nothing else to do in my life. I was just looking at videos of Lawrence Taylor. I was watching it between the break here. I was watching a video of him, and he was going against Baltimore, and literally it was 3 offensive linemen, and then when he got through that, there was a running back still waiting there. It's just the blocking schemes and the amount of attention and offensive coordinators and the type of things that they had to do to try to stop this guy was absolutely phenomenal. And to have him out of the division, I know that the Rams made, to me, a lot of really good under-the-radar moves, but to lose Aaron Donald, and I would think that Aaron Donald, to me, he's 33. I would think that he still had a couple of really high-level years, but he probably, at his size, 6'2", 285, probably just got sick of getting beat down by, double teams, triple teams, and he just said, you know what? And I read today where he made $131 million in his career, so he's got more than enough money to live off the rest of his time. Between him and Lawrence Taylor, probably in my lifetime, the most dominant 2 defensive players I ever saw.
Oh, Reggie White was pretty good. And
yeah,
Bruce
there you
Smith.
go. There's another one.
Bruce Smith had 200 sacks, and Bruce did it a lot as a guy who was covered. Whether they had, Cornelius Bennett, Biscuit, or Darryl Talley, they put a guy outside of him. So if you're the outside guy, that's different. If you're covered by another edge rusher, that's an inside guy. And Bruce Smith did that, and he was that good. There have been a lot of them, obviously, but, he's right there. He's a first-ballot Hall of Famer. And on top of the 3-time, NFL Defensive Player of the Year awards. And again, it's a relatively new award, but only LT and JJ have won that award 3 times. And then you look at the All-Pros. The guy made first team All-Pro 8 of his 10 years in the NFL. The only guys to make 8 for a defensive player are Lawrence Taylor himself, Reggie White, Bruce Smith, and then going back in time, Joe Schmidt, who was a great lineman for the Detroit Lions, and Bill George, who was the original Mike linebacker for the Bears before, they had Dick Butkus and Mike Singletary and Brian Urlacher. Mm-hmm. They had that trio of Hall of Fame Mike linebackers. Bill George was the first one. So just that list of being first-team All-Pro nearly every single year of his career. And I don't think he won it as a rookie. He made that honor, but he was Defensive Rookie of the Year. And then, again, not only the 3 times he won Defensive Player of the Year award, he finished second a handful of times. So you're talking a first-ballot Hall of Famer without a doubt. He is one of the greats of all time. And we just had J.J. Watt retire last year, and now right into Aaron Donald. They do have a young player named Kobe Turner, and I'm not saying he's Aaron Donald, but he had a double-digit sack year as far as a first-year performer that rivaled what Aaron Donald did his rookie year. And they got a couple of guys on that front, and they did add, in the secondary, getting Darius Williams, the cornerback, and they also brought in Cam Curl, who was a tremendous safety for Washington.
I like him.
But with him just retiring off the roster, John, I assume they can use all those dollars to re-sign a player. What does that do as far as dead cap money? The guy retired. It's not like you cut him or released him. Can they just replace his salary and go out and buy somebody else? How does that work?
I think it depends.
What's Donald making? $30 million a year plus?
But I think it depends, because if they have money, the problem is it gets accelerated on the cap right away. So in other words, when let's say it's 5 years and X amount of millions. So when you've put all that money, let's say there's 3 years left on the deal, and you've given him all that bonus money, then that automatically, it's like releasing him. It automatically gets accelerated on your cap away.
So that's dead money. They can't just re-sign some money for that kind of dollars.
So let's say that it's got $30 million left because you've spread that bonus money over X amount of years. So then that gets accelerated on your cap right away.
It would depend what his paragraph 5 money is. Yeah. Whatever his space salary is for this year.
Yeah.
Couldn't they just replace that money?
They could on the base salary, but let's say there's $30 million left of bonus money
that they already paid him in signing
bonus. That gets accelerated. Right. So that's the problem with that. But Susan Slusser says they are taking the tarp off, but it looks like there's more clouds on the way. So I'm not real sure what that means, but we will find out in 2 minutes from John.
We're going back
Dave.
to the boys. And good news on the Warriors front.
Yeah.
Steph Curry has been cleared to come back and play tomorrow night against the Lakers.
Yeah, so that is good news. Again, big news, like Pop said. Aaron Donald will not be torturing any more 49ers quarterbacks. Has Brock Purdy said anything via social media? Probably not.
He's still on holiday, and he's
still
on his honeymoon, I think.
Yeah, that's right. He is. He's having a good time.
He's everywhere.
Yeah.
John Feliciano's quite happy, though.
I did see that. Now
you
he
know
has
that.
put out.
Jake Brendel is really excited. Aaron Banks is excited. I think even the great Trent Williams. He didn't go over to Trent's side much.
No, not
but
very much.
He would go over to Trent's every once in a while. Colton McKivitz somewhere in West Virginia. He's got a snoutful right now.
Yeah. I'd be really happy. You're kidding me? It's St. Patrick's Day and Aaron Donald retired. If you're anybody on any offensive line, especially in the NFC West, you are absolutely having a Guinness and a Jameson.
I think I'm going to have 99 Guinnesses in honor of 99 retiring, the great one.
All right. We'll check in with the boys in just a second from Arizona. In fact, let's check in with John and Dave, see what the weather's like in Arizona.
All right, we are back here live in Mesa. We're at Hohokam Park in a rain delay. Dave Fleming, John Miller, hoping to have a Cactus League ball game. We started the game. We had a couple of hitters. Michael Conforto was at the plate, and it just started pouring rain. You might have heard, if you're listening to our flagship station, KNBR, Susan Slusser was giving updates to John and Papa, and the tarp is indeed off the field. The rain has stopped for now. Skies are still pretty dark and ominous up above. The grounds crew is working on the infield, so they're dumping a lot of the drying agent onto the wet spots. It took them, I mean, it's not necessarily pointing fingers, because the storm, it came fast and it started raining hard fast, but it took them a while to get the tarp on the field, so there were some wet spots out on the infield dirt. The outfield, they got squeegees out, at least a couple of guys do. It's not as comprehensive of a scene as we see in an actual big league park for a regular season game. There's still a lot of standing water on the warning tracks, but they're at least acting like they would like to get this game resumed. We just saw Joey Bart pop his head from the dugout with his catcher's gear still on. So at least as far as that goes, the Giants players haven't been told that the game has been canceled. The fans have stuck around, so we'll see. I don't know that there's a whole lot more to update than that.
Well, updating some other games in the Cactus League, the game, the Brewers game you mentioned over on the other side of the valley, that was canceled early on. Kansas City at Cincinnati and Glendale canceled, and they started the game up in Scottsdale at Talking Stick. The Rangers and the
looking for.
Well, we were.
We thought we were going to get an update on the status of the game.
Sounds like a kid maybe lost their guardian.
Braden needs to find his mom.
Yeah, that's not Dallas Braden, is it? Wait a minute. Anyway, they started that game up in Talking Stick, and Nolan Jones hit a first-inning home run for the Colorado Rockies. But now that one is canceled. So they started and then they stopped. And I'm thinking that those games that started and then got stopped got canceled because the rain was so ferocious that the field was just not playable. So there is a game that apparently is going on over in Glendale. The Cubs and the White Sox are having their version of the Giants and the A's, the all-Chicago spring training matchup. And that game is apparently now underway. They are playing over there.
So they resumed. Last I checked, they were still in a delay. So maybe that's some good news. Maybe.
but the rest of the only and Seattle and the Angels over in Tempe canceled.
Wiped out.
Yeah. So most of the games in the Cactus League have been wiped out, with the only exception being that Cubs-White Sox game, which apparently is now underway, and the game here, which it sounds like, or it looks like they're hoping to get underway. But I would think that the managers would weigh in very heavily in terms of they're going to get the umpires at some point after the grounds crew has done its work on the field, which they're doing right now. For instance, they've been out by shortstop, Dave. They must have put 3 or 4 100-pound sacks of that diamond dry or turfus or whatever it is, that water-absorbent sand-like material to help get the infield dirt playable. And now he's, as I say that, he's got another bag, and he's pouring more of that out on there. So the umpires are going to go out with the managers, I would expect, at some point, and they'll take a tour of the outfield, the infield, and try to ascertain, is this field playable? Is it going to be too risky? Would we be risking injuries? For instance, the Giants have a shortstop, Marco Luciano, and he's had a lot of injury problems in his career. A great prospect, and we've been following his progress for a long time. But the progress has been hindered on occasion by injury problems. Remember last year he missed most of the spring and didn't really start playing until May in the minor leagues. So that has maybe set him back a little bit. So Marco Luciano is supposed to play shortstop today. And shortstop looks to be an area that they are working very hard on trying to get playable. Do the Giants want Marco Luciano or anybody else out there? If that is not 100%, if the footing is not 100%. So whether we're going to get started or not, that will be somebody else's decision. But those are some of the things that will have to be determined, and I think that will happen to make that assessment as to whether we can play here or not.
Luciano is in the dugout. He's got his glove on. He's got his cleats on. Mike Yastrzemski in the dugout. He's got his cleats on. So at least if you just go by the big leaguers who are in the lineup, who are scheduled to play today and had started to play the game today, those guys have not yet packed it in. So if that's telling or not, we don't know. Mike Passanisi, part of our Great Giants PR crew, came in the booth. I said, is there any news, any updates? He said, absolutely none. 2:15. Mike's got news now, so we're going to resume, huh? 2:15.
And they're just making the announcement, the stadium announcer announcing that the game will restart at 2:15.
Okay.
So, but that will happen after the umpires and the managers go out and do their walk around on the field. So, I guess that's the A's have spoken. The powers that be with the A's. Yeah, we're ready to play ball.
So probably what we should do, I think, is because we have our crews standing by at KNBR, our other stations across our Giants network that are carrying this game. 2:15. John? What do you think? 2:10 if we come back. The two of us. Your phone's ringing, and it's some sort of tune that's playing.
Yeah, no, that's a symphony.
Oh,
yeah. I just every so often I have one that starts.
Oh, I see. So I think 2:10 is a good time for us to come back now that we know a start time, and we'll come back and get you ready to resume the game, and we'll be watching to see if Bob Melvin and Mark Kotze and some others come out and inspect the field and make sure that things are okay. But I think that should be our plan.
I'm. Where do I sign?
One final rain delay segment, and then hopefully a Cactus League game, the Giants and the A's. We'll be back to have it for you at 2:10 local time, 2:10 Pacific time.
John's disappointed. John loves rain delay theater.
James, he's like, don't throw it. I got it. We got this. We'll just
He
stay
loves
till
it.
2:10.
In the old days with Lon, John would just fill rain
Exactly.
delays.
That's what he
I,
wanted
on
to
the
do,
other
you can
hand,
tell.
loathe rain delays.
Yeah, I know.
Hated them on TV. We'd go right to break.
Yeah.
And then you lose the audience. They're like, what time's
Right.
the game on? And back then they didn't
come
have
back.
social media to figure it out. It's
Right.
like, what are we doing? But John, this was mild for him. I know Dave wanted to. Dave just got
you can
back
tell.
from Vegas
Dave's
in the
like, no.
WCC tournament. He wants a break. But John, he loves rain delay. There was one night he and Lon were on, and John filled over an hour. And it was, that's John. You don't have a baseball game to get in the way of his storytelling. John can just go. And he was so entertaining. He loves himself some rain delay.
Well, no one. I was just telling the guys. We were having a conversation back and forth, listening to John. No one can make whatever that stuff's called that soaks up the dirt, that soaks up the water, the moisture. So he's talking about it, and he's like, and they're pouring more.
It's
of
turf
this.
face.
Yeah.
Turf face, how do you pronounce
Turf,
it? Turf
whatever
face.
it is.
Yeah.
Let's just call it that. He goes
The drying
and so
material.
they're
Yeah.
pouring more of the drying agent on the field, and I don't know if they'd want Marco Luciano to play on that. You know, they could put a rowboat at shortstop, and maybe Marco Luciano would play in that. Like, he starts talking about the drying agent and whether Luciano would want. He's just going off this tangent
Well, you got to
about
understand,
how much
John
dirt.
is from a different era of broadcasting.
It was amazing.
John started doing the A's games in 1974.
Right.
They didn't have sports talk radio.
Right,
They didn't have
you
you and
gotta
I
fill, man. They-
waiting
yeah,
to get
they-
our St.
right,
Patrick's
to
Day
just
on.
throw it.
So there was no other, you didn't go back to the station for any of the
Right.
programming. They didn't have any.
man.
So you would often, I remember doing that in the minor leagues, where you would fill for the rain delay is going to be longer
Right, you
than the
just-
actual game. Seriously, we have to fill. So
Yeah,
back then,
you're Steve Tasker, right? Like, you got
now
to fill.
yeah, but it's not the Super Bowl and 45 million people or 400 million people are watching me, 100 million, whatever it is. So, but back when John started doing games, and for most of his career probably, when you had a rain delay, there was no programming to go to back in the station, where you had either Marty on the weekends or Tree or, and Colps will come up at 2 o'clock and pick up. They didn't have crew like that. You didn't have 24-hour sports talk. So John would just fill. So I think his natural inclination is, I'm good here. I got it. I've got 3 hours of material ready to broadcast a baseball game. But John, to his delight, and he loves to do what he does, we are going to have Giants
love
baseball at
listening to it.
2:15.
Well-
So we'll go back to those guys at 2:10, and we are going to have a game today, which is good news because you do want to get Jordan Hicks some work, and they do want to get Marco some work and see if he can get hot again. And season does start in less than 2 weeks, and they already had a couple of rainouts last week. Last Friday, they got rained out in Peoria against the Padres. They got rained out the night before at Scottsdale against the Dodgers. So I know it's only a spring training game, but they would like to get their reps in and play the game. And it's the A's and the Giants on St. Patrick's Day, Friday afternoon. Let's go.
Well, I can harken back to the pandemic, and I still don't know how we got through this, but we did sports talk with literally no sports. And
Toilet paper.
Yeah.
It was toilet paper
right.
that got us through it.
And so one of the first things we did as a show, we huddled up and we said, how the hell are we going to do this? And what we did was, as one of the first things is, on Wednesdays, we secured John Miller. We said, every Wednesday we're going to get John Miller on. And we did a half hour with John Miller with like one question. We're like, hey, John, how's it going? And then he would go for a half an hour. And it was like, thank God for John Miller. What's today? It's Wednesday. Oh my God, we get John Miller. And he just told stories, and it was it was the best half hour of the week. And we would just
Mitch
talk.
Album had Tuesdays with Maury. We had Wednesdays with the Big Kahuna.
We did.
Every
Wednesday.
And it
He
was
saved us.
and we tell old stories, whatever
Yeah,
it
that's
was,
all we
whatever
did.
prompted him, and it was a half hour. John could go 50 minutes
Yeah.
on one breath.
I think we might have gone 40 or 45, actually.
And mainly
is
it
what
was
we
a lot
did.
of toilet paper. So
Yeah, it was toilet paper, John Miller. What was the ESPN Classic? We'd talk about old games that we'd watch. It was the
Thank God
Last
for the
Dance
Last
of the Bulls.
Dance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Last Dance of the Bulls. Music, movies. I mean, it was anything that would pop up. Yeah. What was it, Danny?
OTD was big on this date in history.
Oh,
when they
Tiger. Oh,
actually
yeah,
played
Tiger
games.
King on this date. Yeah, well, on this date was huge.
Yeah.
That saved
Remember
us.
the one? Remember when they actually started playing games and we couldn't go to games? We simulated opening day with our Bloody Marys. Remember that? The giant orange
that's
Bloodies,
right.
which leads
We
to
cooked hot
3
dogs.
weeks from today, ladies. We are back, and we love our Mary Jane.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We
We're
gotta bring
back
the whiskey.
for 3 weeks from today. The Giants are going to have their home opener.
Don't you dare
And
order
less
tequila
than
like you did.
2
I think
weeks.
you did that last year. I think you
Yeah, we
ordered
do that.
tequila.
Less than 2 weeks, we're going to be getting ready for Giants and Padres. And in about 2
Oh, yeah,
minutes,
you did. You
John.
ordered tequila.
Now, we can't have tequila on St. Patrick's Day, right?
No.
Is that
no,
not
you
allowed?
could, but I wouldn't. But you can. You can do whatever you want. I guess people can.
The green beer will be
yes.
flowing in 2
Yeah, we
minutes.
need
And in honor of the
Jameson's.
great Larry
Jameson's.
Smith and the hard hats, I think Draymond's back tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Steph
And
Curry
it
is back
official.
tomorrow
Steph Curry's
night.
back.
They got to beat the LA Lakers. That's an
They
ABC
need
showcase
to.
game.
At least you
That'll
won
be,
one at home, right?
That'll be Doris
Man.
and JJ Redick tomorrow night.
Yeah. So we at least have that. So that's very nice. That's very nice. So, all right. Are we taking this to 2:10 or is
No, I think
Coach
Copes is
jumping
going to
in or
jump
what?
in, right? I think Copes is
No, we're
jumping
just
in.
taking this to 2:00. Okay, and then they can
Yeah.
fill the rest of the way. So,
I got a bar full of people all waiting for me at Harrington's. John.
so
I
were
gotta go.
you went to Harrington's and then you had to
I
come back?
I started, and then I heard John say, "A lightning bolt behind center," and I went, "Oh, that's not good."
Yeah, you figured that he would
That's-
just
that's
fill.
not
I
good.
mean, that reminds me.
No, that's kind of long though. What are we coming up on? Almost a full hour rain
Yeah.
delay. When they resume at 2:15, it's going to be about close to an hour.
Yeah, I was partaking, and then Walter goes, "Did you see my text?" And I go, "No, I didn't see your text." And he's like, "Yeah, you might want to check your phone." I was like, "Oh,
I was
Walter."
listening. I was listening to
because
the
I
game,
know,
so
I know what
I
that
thought
means.
when they opened the broadcast with, "It is dark, it is dank, it is raining." I'm like, "Damn,
Dark
are
and
we gonna
dank
have
on a Friday means
are we
something
gonna-
totally different
Well,
to
that's
me.
what's
but I
happening
get
at
it.
Harrington's. We're going to have
Yeah.
dark beer and go dank.
Dark
But
and dank.
when I heard that, I thought,
different.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
I better hang around a little bit.
We're talking dank, boys?
Yeah,
we're
dark
talking
and dank. But
We're
that
talking
means
dank.
different than.
So when are you
Scottsdale
coming to
dark and
Harrington's,
dank.
Colt? You going to be there by 2:10, right after you sign off?
Well, we'll see. I don't think. Well, I still think we'd have a little bit of a show, even if the game starts at 2:10. If it's a 3-hour game, we're still getting probably about 45
that's
minutes
true.
in there. So,
Man, this pitch clock is killing us.
yeah, the pitch clock is brutal for Tom and I on the day games. We used to. I mean, we'd get a 12:45
Oh, you're
start,
done.
and we were
Us
like,
too.
"God, man, we get an hour show, maybe half-hour show." Now it's like
We get a 10
12:40.
a.m. first pitch. We're gone. Now
Oh, I
it's like
know.
we got an hour show.
We
Yeah.
have to sit there and monitor the thing now. Like, God damn.
I know our jobs are hard.
Pitch clock.
Our jobs
Yeah,
are
it's
tough.
very
I know.
Difficult now. Like,
really hard. We're digging
man, we got to do an
ditches.
hour show.
I know we shouldn't complain like this out loud, huh? We're like, man, I got to watch this game and then
We
wait
did.
for it.
Yeah, we
Wait for
I
it
got
to
to go
end.
drink at Harrington's. You're cutting into my schedule. I'm busy.
come back.
It is
Welcome
St.
back,
Patrick's Friday.
everybody. That was brutal.
Harry Carey did both.
Yeah, you
Harry
did.
actually
Hi.
drank during games. He
Yeah,
was
he
not
did
playing.
center field.
He actually drank during games.
Yeah.
Gotta get a heat
Sit
on.
out there.
Real.
Yeah.
Center field.
He had a heater on.
Hey, everybody.
Well, if you're a hot dog and you were starving to death, would you eat yourself?
Exactly.
Lather myself in brown mustard and relish. That'd be delicious.
I remember driving it to Wrigley Field from Indianapolis, where I was. It was a Saturday afternoon game. It was a doubleheader. Fernando pitched one game, and I wanted to wait around to say hi to Harry Carey. And he's got that circular staircase to come down from the
Oh,
broadcast
man,
booth.
that thing.
And he is absolutely lit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you really do drink Budweiser during a game? It's not a bit. He has a bud at every half inning. It was a doubleheader. I don't know how.
Oh, my
There's the Babe Ruth
legend.
challenge. There's a Babe Ruth challenge, which is a hot dog and a beer every inning, and then there's the Harry Carey challenge, which is put away 18 buds over a 9-inning contest.
And hit 3 home runs that day. Yeah.
Right, and sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
Oh, man.
All right, boys. Enjoy 9 minutes. 9 minutes. And then you're
Giants
back.
baseball.
And then possibly afterwards. That will be the real
Oh, yeah, I love that you guys just think there's not going to be other problems with the weather.
Oh, there
I
will
love
be.
that you guys think there's no other weather
That's what
problems.
I mean.
But yeah, I
It's
can just
not-
go kick
It's not
it.
my problem now. I am moving on. The
Oh, you guys,
clock
I did
says
this.
2
I did
o'clock.
this 3 days ago. Last week on that
right.
rain out on Wednesday night or Thursday night. I was
Yeah,
walking
right.
out of the
Yeah,
station.
Dodgers.
Well, I was leaving. My backpack's on, and then I hear John go, and they're pulling the top now over the infield grass. I was like in Arizona, and so I'd sit here and do rain delay radio, which is, tell me about your first mitt.
Yeah, exactly.
What'd you name your bat? You know, stuff like that. So, have a good weekend, boys. Enjoy the
right,
booze. I'll
man.
see you at Harrington's.
Be good.
All right. Coming up next, a little rain delay radio for a moment. Then we'll get some baseball and then probably some more rain delay theater. It's been Papa and Lund on KNBR AM and FM San Francisco, the sports leader, a Cumulus Media station. Take it away.
NBA brought him to the Bay. While his co-host was born and raised here.
Adam, that is great co-host work right there. That is amazing. You're lucky to have Adam, Tommy.
Oh, absolutely.
It's time for Tolbert and Copes. Let's get it on! Tom Tolbert.
Yeah, thank you. Now if I could ever get some beer.
And Adam Copeland.
Adam Copeland has arrived!
On KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
What is shaking? Take it away, Dirk. Man, forget it.
Danny said, I don't have that on my board. I'm transitioning over.
I have it in my contract. I don't got to turn on the YouTube if this show's less than seven minutes. So
How'd you get that in there?
I don't know. I thought you put it in there.
Not me.
Oh, okay.
That's what she said.
Damn.
Thanks, Tom.
okay.
Thanks.
Well, the fact of the matter is we're supposed to be on at 2. The game was supposed to be going, but it's a rain delay.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Yeah, I didn't have time to put pants on, so I just didn't want to turn the TV on. So I just figured just come in here and do the show.
Oh, my God. Thank you, Danny. Going Harold and Kumar bottomless party is where you're going, Tom?
Randy Bennett, head coach of the St. Mary's Gales, and Michael Thompson, color analyst for the Lakers, and Clay's dad will be joining us at some point today. We're not guaranteeing you anything at this point.
No promises.
We have no idea when the game it's going to start in about 6 minutes, and from there, who knows? Who knows what could happen? It could go for half an hour. It could go unabated to the end. It could stop 2 times, 4 times. It could be banged. I don't know. We don't know. So there you go. If we have time, hopefully we will.
What about double banged? Bang! Bang!
Bang! Well, what double bang do you want? There's 2 of them.
Give me the second one. What's the other one?
Well, you got the Breen
Yeah?
and Tim Ryan.
Tim Ryan, right?
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about the Tim Ryan thing. That was a good double bang. The Tim Ryan double bang. By the way, for those of you joining us, there is a Giants game on. There should be a Giants game on. Giants and the A's. They're in a rain delay. I know, this is bizarre. Giants have had 2 games rained out already this Cactus League season. And that's why I kind of thought when it happened early in the first inning, which is what happened last Thursday when they were playing the Dodgers, or whenever that day was, last Wednesday, whatever night that was, they got into the 3rd inning and then called it because it started dumping. And I guess this one was thunderstorms. It was blowing over fairly quickly, but it looks like there might be another one coming in. So we don't know how long they'll play, like you said, when they start. But I think they really want to get these games in because it's more about the innings. It's more about getting guys on the mound and the guys who you're waiting to throw and stretch out. Like I know Alex Cobb was going to throw in a minor league game. Yeah, Jordan Hicks was going to be out there today. Like these are guys who, especially for a guy like Hicks, who you're planning to stretch out, you want to start seeing him throw a good number of pitches deep into a game or deeper into a game. So I think they're trying hard to get these in the final couple of weeks here. So we're 13 days now from opening day. But the one big piece of news we should get to you before we get to throw back to Scottsdale is, well, no, I don't even think it's the you were, I assume, talking Aaron Donald.
That's what I assumed you were talking about.
Well, I was. We can get into that if and when we have time later today. Aaron Donald, after 10 years, he would be only 33 years old. Calls it a career. Whew. John Feliciano tweeted, I was going Steph Curry. Officially announced he's going to play tomorrow. So that's a positive note, too. We knew that was kind of coming, but it's now official.
Yeah. The Aaron Donald one was like, whoa.
That was...
Quarterbacks around the league just became happy.
Yeah. Well, and John Feliciano.
Schedule?
John Feliciano tweeted about it today. He was like, ooh, nice, man. Yeah, he's like, thank God I don't have to deal with that guy anymore. He's like, I'm thrilled to be coming back to the 49ers and don't have to deal with Aaron Donald anymore. We got more breaking news. Derek, you want to pop on here? Jimmy Garoppolo has a new home. Breaking news here. Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, he's going to come play for me down at SoFi, man. I'm looking for Jimmy G. He's going to be under center. I'm looking for Jimmy G to throw some touchdowns for me, maybe some picks into some linebacker stomachs. Anyway, Jimmy G, the new L.A. Ram. He'll be the backup quarterback down there for Matt Stafford. How about that?
How about that?
There you go. So Jimmy G back in the division.
So actually the Rams didn't lose that much.
They lost Donald, but they gained Jimmy. Is that what you're Nice. All big news here. Giants in a rain delay against the A's here, and we'll get you back out to Scottsdale here in 2 minutes. Steph Curry announced he is going to play tomorrow in Los Angeles against the Lakers, and Aaron Donald, you won't hear from him no more. $60 million, by the way, he walked away from.
Wow, that's wow. You don't see that very often. $60 million.
On
He
the
just said,
table.
"Nah, I'm good." That's a lot of conviction in that retirement. Like, yep, I know this is the right thing. Absolutely the right thing. But that guy was a terror. We were talking about it today, me and my son. Like, is he the best interior defensive lineman of all time?
Maybe. And for pound, like 10 seasons, 10 Pro Bowls, 3 MVPs?
Him and Barry Sanders are the only ones that do that.
8 first-team All-Pros, says Derek. You're right. Pound for pound, like from beginning to end, no down years, really. No, I mean, he was the scariest defender. They say game wrecker, and there's always like one guy who really is that. Like, he did it in my mind. I'd have to, and maybe this is a bad bias, but J.J. Watt is the guy that comes to mind for me in my lifetime. But like, he was as dominant, if not more. But again, it was in a shorter period of time, just 10 years. But still, he was a potent D lineman.
You couldn't keep him out of the backfield. He may have gotten double teamed more than Jenna Jameson. I mean, unbelievable. Well, we only got 7 minutes.
We got to
squeeze.
get in all the riffs in now. Dude.
It is Friday.
Yeah, we got to get any soup in for the next 40 seconds. Get some good a story for me.
I have nothing.
That was good though. I was speaking of potency in the tight segment here. We got a tight 10-year career there from Aaron Donald, getting a tight 10 minutes here from us, and still the same performance is what we're getting after.
Yeah, I mean, we give you the same calories in less time, so you're welcome.
Beautiful. All right, we'll get you back out to Scottsdale. We'll be with you at some point. I don't know, either after the game, during the game. If there's no more game, we'll see what happens. Giants and the A's in a rain delay. They are scheduled to resume play at 2:15 local time. Here as we'll send it back to Dave Fleming, who is out at Scottsdale Stadium in Arizona